Welcome to the Angel Rewatch, a spoiler-free retrospective podcast on Angel. I'm William.
And I'm Derek, and this is a podcast for Reprise, originally airing February 20th, 2000 run, written by Tim Minear. Angel walks down a creepy hallway to a room full of goats. This is not a bizarre dream sequence, but Angel stopping a sacrifice. The sacrifice is being performed by two white-bread guys who know nothing besides the Wolfram Heart will pay them. Frustrated that his beating didn't get the usual results, Angel goes to Kate to try to pull on her resources. Kate is not too happy with Angel, but unlike every other time, she actually has a reasonable cause. She's up for review because of the last week when she let Angel beat up the psychotic police captain. She also realized that Angel probably had a hand in the massacre that took place in Holland's basement. She says that she doesn't want to help him anymore. Angel then goes to the host, and he discovers a bunch of Wolfram Heart lawyers at Caritas. The host won't tell Angel what exactly he read from them, but something bad is coming. The lawyers are gearing up to welcome a senior partner in a review that happens every 75 years. Angel Investigation is not having a much better day. They remove the eye from the silent girl, but her parents are refusing to pay because demons don't exist. Gunn leaves because J. August Burgers had vacation time this week or something, and Cordelia and Wesley are alone. At Wolfram Heart, Lila is fretting over the upcoming meeting with Lindsay, but Lindsay's back to his unattached broody mode. Because, as we find out, he has been hiding Darla in his apartment. Darla acts very weak, telling Lindsay that Drew isn't coming back to LA and that he is all that she has left. When Lindsay exits on a painfully awful line, she rolls his eyes and is clearly quite more able-bodied than she was playing. Angel barges into the new Angel Investigations looking for a book. Cordelia stands in his way and Angel threatens her. Wesley gets up from his wheelchair and yells at Cordelia to give him the book so he'll leave. So she does and Angel storms out. Cordelia more emotionally rants about Angel until she knows that Wesley's stitches have popped and he's bleeding. The book that Angel told turns out not to be enough, and Angel goes to the bookstore he went to in Are You Now or Have Her Been 50 years ago. He enlists the help of the same owner, who conveniently owns what I'm going to call the Glove of MacGuffin. Said Angel needs to take out the senior partners, but then the owner gets stabbed and killed by Darla. She stabs Angel as well and grabs the glove and goes off. Meanwhile, Kate gets fired. Look, it's a really good scene, but honestly, you don't really care about Kate, and there are other important things going on in the meantime. Like, Virginia is having trouble accepting Wesley's new life, and halfway through their conversation, Wesley realizes that she's breaking up with her. Wesley then calls Cordelia to talk about their loneliness. Well, Cordelia does, and Wesley doesn't admit that Virginia broke up with him. When Cordelia hangs up with Wesley, the Third Eye mom calls. She says that she will pay Cordelia now. After the mom hangs up, it is revealed that a demon forced her to make the call, and the demon kills her. Angel uses Lila to get into the review. The poor man's Holland is warned that a vampire is on the floor of the review just before Angel arrives. There's some confusion and struggle, but Angel manages to get to a woman. He throws holy water on her, rips off her wig to reveal Darla. They struggle for the Glove of MacGuffin, and Angel grabs it. Darla is tackled by vampire hunters. Lila tells them to stake her, so Lindsay punches her in the face, and then he punches the hunters, and Darla runs away. A senior partner arrives, and Angel tackles them out the window. This shouldn't kill him, but it should break every bone in his body. But let's say for the sake of argument, because Angel has his Dark Lord Sauron costume, he gets some kind of immunity. He clicks his heels and asks to go to the home office, and an elevator opens behind him. Inside the elevator is Han. I won't butcher the scene, but the gist of it is this. Evil has and always will exist. Wolfram Heart have been around since the beginning of time, and they will be there at the end. There is no winning for them. They just exist. The mysterious home office is the Earth itself. According to Han, evil exists in all men and it always will, and there's nothing Angel can ever do to beat them or it. There's a whole sad montage that follows, but Angel ends up back at the abandoned Hyperion. The phone rings and it goes to voicemail. A suicidal and drunk Kate tells Angel that it's his fault for making her believe. He hangs up the phone, too hurt to listen. He then goes upstairs and Darla comes up behind him. She wants the ring from the senior partner. Angel gives it to her, and then he gives her something else, if you know what I mean. They have the sex, is what I'm saying. Angel tells her he just wants to feel something other than the cold. After it's over, Angel and Darla are in bed asleep. Angel suddenly wakes up gasping in pain, and we cut away to the dreaded executive producer screen. So that's the end of the episode.
I really loved this, actually.
I really love the last 10 minutes. And I don't love the rest of it. Okay, so we're doing 2 podcasts because you were sick. And the reason I guilted you into doing 2 podcasts is I don't have a terrible much to say about this episode if it's not about the end.
Well, I guess I'll get to rant for a little bit then. I really loved... Well, one, I thought that this episode, had a really good sense of continuity. Because they really used last week's episode with Kate and Wes having the gunshot to really good effect. And I also thought that there was a really good sense of consequence in the episode. A lot of...
Because you're talking about Kate getting fired, which should have been happened months ago.
Kate gets fired. Wes's relationship ends.
Oh, yeah, because we all cared about that.
I thought it was effective. I mean, we hadn't really gotten to know Virginia, but I thought the scene...
He does a good job, but if I don't care about her or their relationship.
Right. I mean, there's only so far you can get invested in the episode because Virginia and Kate are very much characters we don't really care about. But I thought all of the scenes they were involved in, they sold really, really well. The fact that Kate was up for a review after all this time, after all the things she's been doing, I was happy that there was that kind of consequence with her.
If you take out the fact that everybody in the police force is stupid and doesn't know there's demons, let's just take that out. She should have been fired months ago, just from the way she's been acting. And even if she's not crazy because she thinks monster exists, she does need some psychiatric help. So they're justified in every way to fire her, which works very well. And it's not just that they're idiots and they don't believe that monsters exist. She's been completely messed up for quite a while.
Yeah, and they do a really good job in the review scene of kind of explaining away the fact that no one has said anything to her. Mm-hmm. Like, if they've been keeping tabs on her and they've been kind of letting her slide because she just had a tragedy, then it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I don't think she would do what she does, though, if that one cop had not told her that her dad would never want her to see her like this. That seems like a low blow. And I think it sends her over the edge to do what she does at the end of the episode.
I would have rather her punch him in the face, but...
Well, she's not in that emotional place. Okay, so talk about more things you like, because this, honestly, the 30 minutes before we get to the elevator scene are very boring to me, besides a few good moments scattered throughout.
Well, so I already mentioned the Wes and Virginia scene. I thought that worked really well. Wes really sells the scene. There is some cheesy dialogue from her, but...
Wait, don't say it. Say it. Because I don't even remember it when you do. Her line about bandages.
Okay, well, before she gets to the cheesy line, they're talking about, is it worth it to fight even though, all this terrible stuff happens? And, it works really well. But then she says, and sometimes I feel like I should be the one to be bandaged to keep from my insides from falling
And
out.
you like that scene.
I do like that scene. Wes even saves it right after that with the, this is really hard for you, breaking up with me.
I think he does a better job in what is essentially filling time, is when he calls Cordelia. And nothing really sort of happens in there, but I think he does a really excellent job of acting like he's not about to cry, and he trying to hide his grief, but he just wants to hear her voice, and Because she doesn't really know what's going on at that point.
Right.
So I think that's a better scene than the actual Virginia scene, because that's over very quickly. And even if... So I'm assuming they're living together, yes?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. It's not like... I don't think she said, I'm going to move out or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know how Wes is affording that apartment, but you could say that for any TV apartment.
Right.
All right, fine, whatever. I just don't care enough about their relationship, and I don't... He does a fine job, but I'm not invested enough to care about that scene.
Well, I care enough about, I guess, Wesley.
That's fair.
That his grief still is affecting. And yeah, the scene after with the phone call with Cordelia kind of amplifies the previous scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Angel now? Because that's really... Because the Angel investigation side is really... doesn't have come to a complete end. It stops halfway through because that's the most part one of this part two-parter.
Right.
Well, we didn't really talk about the fact that the family won't pay them because there's no demons, which I actually sort of liked.
Yeah, I like that too.
Even though that girl does not talk at all, and it's beginning to bother me.
She's not getting paid, or maybe she can't act. I'm not really sure.
I don't know, but it's really awkward how she doesn't say one word, and she just kind of smiles and
yeah, she smiles. She's like, "Yeah, thanks, guys." And then
I'm worried that there's like something mentally wrong with her, like not the actress, but the actual character.
Well, maybe the third eye was affecting her brain. I don't know.
Possible. Anyway. Okay, so let's talk about the bulk of the episode, which is why I'm not that interested in it, because it's not that interesting. Because if you could tell me what the Glove of MacGuffin does, I would be shocked. Besides abstract power, and it allows Angel to jump and
not die from a
but
15-story fall.
I think it's more than that. But then,
well, they say floor 15. Whatever.
Oh, they do? Yeah. Well, it looks higher than that. I don't listen to anything that man says because he's not Holland. He needs to stop trying to be Holland. Okay, but
which guy? The Six Flags?
Yeah, the Six Flags man. The evil Six Flags man. So you cannot tell me what that glove does. And that is really the whole driving force of the episode, is if Angel's going to get this thing.
Well, the glove, yeah, I mean, the glove is a MacGuffin, or whatchamacallit, whatever it is.
It's a MacGuffin, which is a magical object that really has it just drives the plot forward, but it really has no significance for anything. And it disappears from significance towards the end, which is exactly what this glove does.
Right, which they even remark on in the episode with the guy when he brings it up. When Denver brings it up, Angel goes, "Oh, now you're just making this up." Like, there's enough tongue-in-cheek there, and ultimately it doesn't matter about the glove or the ring. It just builds up to that elevator scene. But I feel like
Yes, and that's why I don't like it. Because 30 minutes are spent on if Angel's going to get this, which he obviously is. And we're building... The episode does a good... This is quite possibly the darkest, most dour episode yet. And it does a good job of transferring Angel's emotional state to the screen, because there are almost no jokes in the episode, and I think one of them is he walks into a room of goats, and the other one is that Lila thinks she should have had kids so she could sacrifice one of them.
Right.
Those are your two, real jokes. And the goat thing is only funny because if you watch, the one goat is very interested in Angel, and I don't think it's actually Angel smiling, but David Boreanaz smiles. And you can barely see it, and that's just amusing to me. So there's that. But I'm they really try to sell you on, oh, what's going to happen with this love thing, and they build up to this fight, and then the fight is he just jumps out the window, and that's fine. I wouldn't say they should do anything differently. And I don't think as a whole it's a bad episode. Because if you're expecting the elevator scene to happen, then the elevator scene loses a lot of its impact. So I like that it comes out of nowhere, basically. But the majority of this episode is him getting this glove of MacGuffin and asking me to care about it, and I don't.
Okay, well, I think that's interesting. I thought the episode did a really good job of ramping up to the end of the episode. Like we, first getting showing Angel's emotion at the beginning of the episode when he starts just wrecking everything once he kicks those two guys out. And how desperate he is when he goes to the host, which I really like the host scene in this episode.
No, I like the host scene too, but he's clearly been stealing things from Liza Minnelli's closet. The host scene, it's fine. Like I do like how they build that there's something bad coming.
Right, like even the host saying senior partner before the commercial break, I thought was actually really exciting. Like there is a threat here in this episode.
Except there's not, because he just
dispatches with the senior partner really quickly. Yes.
You're not convincing me that it's more than a standard episode before the elevator scene.
I think in retrospect it'll look more like a standard episode. But
okay.
But stay with me. So Angel is super desperate, and I think they do a great job of keeping you in Angel's mind space, like the way he is constantly bouncing from all of his different contacts, like when he goes to Kate and then he can't get anything from her, he needs that book, he goes to the old gang. I thought there was great tension there.
We can talk about that scene. I do like that scene.
That scene, like you get to see them at their most tumultuous. Thank you. Tumultuous.
Well, I really like Cordelia standing up to him.
Yeah, and Wesley's standing.
And he is just so focused and doesn't care about them as people anymore at that moment.
Right. He's just such a dick.
Yeah. Don't make me move you. Which is, it's weird that Gunn disappears.
Yeah.
It is. But Gunn really couldn't be in that scene, because if he is, he's going to punch Angel in the face. Right. Or something. So the fact that it's just the two of them, which Wesley and Cordelia are the two that he is the most close with. And it shows how I do like how much he's on this mission to get the glove, and he doesn't care about anything, and it's really is a suicide mission, and then at the end he effectively commits suicide anyway when he sleeps with Darla, because that's what the whole thing is. It becomes much more clear to me on Rewatch that this story arc has been a metaphor for Angel suffering through depression, which I think was a smart move, because it takes unless you are a sociopath, I don't think you're going to connect to Angel struggling between his demonic self and his soul self. Like you're not going to connect that much, I hope, to his desire to murder and his desire for his conscience. So the fact that they bring it down, and it is, I think Angel probably does have depression anyway, but especially in this, where he's suffering between, he doesn't want to feel this way, but he can't help but feel this way. And just everything that he has done, the way that he's isolated himself, the way that he just acts, he acts like someone who's suffering through depression, and the only thing is he's focused on taking down Wolfram and Hart, and that's all that he cares about. And once that's done, then he can move on, and then he realizes in this episode he can never move on from that.
Right.
So I do like that. Just the actual mechanics of the episode are not that interesting to me. And there is something successful about the MacGuffin formula of finding the magical object to save the world, because look at any Marvel movie that's not the Winter Soldier, and that's basically the formula they use. But the reason that it works for Marvel is because they end up being fun movies with interesting characters and witty dialogue. This is just a miserable episode with a boring plot, and then the elevator scene happens.
See, I don't feel it was that boring. I do feel the misery and the tension of Angel kind of being on it, at the end of his rope. But they don't bring up the glove until we get to the Denver scene. It's more been about we get the hint of the thorn of Black Nil or whatever, the ring of Sauron or whatever. But it's constantly shifting. There's a great sense of movement in the episode. Something's happening with Orphan Heart. They're having a review. There's a senior partner coming. Something about a ring. And then we jump to the ring, to the glove, to get ramping up to the end of the episode. Ultimately, I don't think the glove really matters. I just think of it as, it's one of the multitude of magical objects. It is supposed to be specific for the type of demon that the partner is manifesting as. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I shrug at the glove. It's not about that for me.
See, what you described is the shifting. I think sometimes there's interesting things going on, and then it goes back into pretty standard boring to me, and then it gets it. So when it's Lila and Lindsay talking about the review, and then we see that Darla's been living there, and that Darla can't stand Lindsay, but she's pretending to be very weak, which I love, when he says, "I'm always dirty," if she rolls her eyes. Which is just the perfect response to that line. So that becomes interesting, and then we go back into the Angel thing. I feel there's hills and valleys of this episode throughout, and then once we get to the elevator scene, it's a hill, and then it just keeps going up and up and up. And it's one of the best sequences that the show has done, but the rest of the episode is not one of the best episodes. That's just how I feel.
Okay.
We can move on to the elevator scene, because that's all I want to talk about, and you've wasted my time talking about the rest of it that I don't want to talk about. So, the elevator scene.
Right. So he's had his 15-foot story fall and lived for mysterious reasons.
And then Holland's there. So here's my question to you. Do you think that is actually Holland?
Yes.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it is, but he's also acting a lot more menacing than Holland has ever acted before.
Huh. I felt like he got to really choose the scene, the scenery in this.
He does. Well, he chooses the scenery a lot, but in a good way. But also in this one, he's much more demonic. There's a moment in the elevator where he smiles, and I don't think there's any CGI involved. I think it's just the actor manages to do something with his face, but his whole face sort of twists in this pleasure that he's bringing Angel down. And he's so relentless about it in a way that I think it probably is Han, but it could also be a senior partner or some kind of demon taking on the personality of Han, because he knows that will bring Angel down. Because the moment he steps into the elevator, it seems like the mission is to get Angel to do what he does.
Right. I love how Holland is able to twist everything. Every single word feels like a knife twisting into Angel. I just feel like he gets to be much more menacing because of the power dynamics between the two of them. Mm-hmm. Previously, the last time we had seen them, it felt like Angel had a much more dominant role and had more power in that relationship.
Probably because he could kill him.
Exactly.
And now he's dead. So there goes Angel's power.
And Angel is in this, like, such a desperate place that Holland capitalizes on it, just like we've seen him, how he's manipulated everyone before. And how effective he is at it it was really, really impressive.
It's really the performances that make that moment work. Because if you look at what Holland says, it's not incredibly shocking. He's basically saying some pretty basic philosophy that men are inherently evil. But Angel's in such a place that all he needs is that little bit of a push. And also what I think works about it is the supernatural edge in the fact that, okay, men are inherently evil and evil exists in everyone, but that Wolfram Hart has always been there in one form or another. And we talked about before how there seems to be a binary between the powers that be and Wolfram Hart. And I think it's pretty safe to say that the senior partner's not necessarily Wolfram Hart, but in this episode that the senior partners are evil incarnate, and Wolfram Hart is their agent on Earth, or their agent in LA. Right.
The line of "we wouldn't do anything as prosaic as winning," like, was really, really effective. Especially just like Angel's in such this like attitude about like, you're not going to win.
Well, that's all Angel is holding on to at that moment. He's separated himself from all his relationships. He's done things that he wouldn't do normally because his goal is to beat them and take them down. And then he finds out, no matter if he takes down Wolfram Hart, fine, but the senior partners will pop up somewhere else, and he can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and it like, even though we're not getting this like dramatic fight,
no, in my opinion, I don't really care about the fight.
But it would be the end of the show, whatever.
The choreography of a fighting scene, it's much more interesting to me that it's a mental battle. Well, it's not even a mental battle. He just gets beaten up. Like, Angel has no defense. He's just done. I mean, honestly, it is probably David Boreanaz's best performance to date. The way that... Because Holland's chewing the scenery, the hell out of that scenery, and just doing an amazing job of it. But when Angel says... I'm not sure what the exact line is, but when he says, what do you mean that you're not going to win? I mean, what do you mean winning doesn't enter into it or whatever? When he realizes that they don't...
why fight?
Yeah. Well, what is it?
Then why fight? Then why fight?
Then why fight? Okay. When he realizes that they're not trying to win, they're not going again. They're not fighting the same battle. They don't care.
Right.
And then from that moment onward, you see that everything in him has dropped out, and it's nothing but despair. And I don't like the sad montage at all.
Oh, God, no.
Because Wesley does a great job in that phone scene, but when he's on the couch, he looks like a sad turtle. And I guess it's kind of important to see that Kate takes the pills out.
Right.
And then, but Cordelia doesn't really even enter into it, because she's just going to the house.
Yeah.
But it's like the sad music's playing. But what I also really like before that is when the doors open to the home office. And there's a moment where, I don't know, the vendor that lives outside Wolfram Hart, because those lawyers get hungry. When a kid goes up and his mom, like, snatches him away. And that's when Holland's talking about how evil is in all of them. And in Angel's eyes, he sees her aggression. But really what she's doing is just being a mom. But what works about that is he just, at that moment, he can't help but see evil in everyone. Right. That something that simple to him just becomes terrible.
And I love how Holland twists the knife even deeper. If there wasn't evil in all of them, then they'd all be angels. And he's just seeing how broken Angel is in that moment.
And that's the other reason I don't like the sad montage, because you get everything from Angel just walking sadly down that I would just love it if it was just that. Just him walking and his facial expressions and not going to Sad Turtle Wesley and Kate taking out the pills.
Yeah, and I also, the music, oh my god, the music was awful in that scene. It's just sad piano. Like, well, I would like a recut of it with the sad music from The Incredible Hulk, or the Hulk, Ang Lee's Hulk, that they always use.
I don't remember that. The music wasn't that bad. It's not. I don't remember the music particularly well, but I don't remember it. And when I was watching it, I don't think it was particularly good, but it didn't bother me. It was just sad music.
Yeah, I think that's just something that
they are capable of doing better music than that.
Right. I think it just impacted me. It's something that stuck in my craw.
Well, that is you are more sensitive to that than I am, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. All right. So the boinking.
Well, we have to get to before the boinking when he starts to beat. What I love about the pre-boinking is his acting of being very aggressive with her and then being very tender. Like when he first kisses her, there's a very kind of gentleness about that, and then he throws her through the door. Which to me is it's Angel starting to transition between Angel and Angelus, because at that moment it really is him committing suicide. He doesn't want to be Angel anymore. He just wants to be different, where he doesn't care about any of this.
Yeah, Darla starts laughing when he starts.
Well, because this is what Darla wants.
Right. He's like, "Why are you laughing?" and throws her through the doors.
Which I don't think. Can't you feel? He says, "I want to feel something different than the cold," and when he asks her, "Can't you feel the cold?" I think that's a little cheesy.
Right,
but he does make it work.
Yeah, he does sell it. There's something very threatening about that whole scene, and like if Darla wasn't Darla, it'd be really uncomfortable. I mean, it's uncomfortable,
but it's also from what we've seen of them. Well, what we saw of Angelus and Darla, that's kind of their thing,
right?
So I think that is Angel acting like Angelus to sleep with Darla because that's what they did.
Right.
I understand what it does come off as a little bit rapey.
Yeah.
It comes off as a lot rapey.
Yeah.
But also the fact is that right before, when he picks her up, but then Darla at one point, then, because she's confused, and then she starts to initiate it as much as he does.
Right. It just in that certain light, it's a little off-putting, especially because she says, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "It doesn't matter." Mm-hmm. But because it's Darla, like, well, that's with all the context and everything, then I don't have a problem with it.
And she thinks that he's playing her to begin with.
Right.
She thinks that he's just messing with her, and then she accepts that he really wants this, and she's just as into it as he is. Because that's what she's wanted from the beginning, really. She wants power and all that, but really, her ultimate goal is to get Angelus.
Right.
And then, so they have the sex.
The boinkening.
There is some sex. Which is it is a pretty explicit sex scene for
network television,
yes.
Especially 14 years old network television.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much anything on prime time.
Right.
But yeah, so that happens. And then we wake up and Angel has a drama queen gasp, which, as good as Boreanaz is in the rest of the episode, I do not like that moment in his acting. Because it's really dumb.
Yeah, I know, but
it is a good cliffhanger. But
it's a nice cliffhanger.
I do want to talk about the actual reprise of the episode, because we don't talk about episode titles a lot, but what do you think that refers to? Because I have a pretty solid theory on it.
Okay, well, I want to hear your theory.
Well, my solid theory is that it refers to Surprise, the Buffy episode where Angel loses his soul the first time when he has sex with Buffy.
Okay.
Because I just think in that episode too, there's the whole MacGuffin thing of they got to find the thing to beat something. I don't remember what. It's that blue guy, but I don't remember because he didn't say
They have to get the cases or whatever.
And there's also the fact that something bad was happening. Jenny Calendar's uncle was all gypsy about it.
Right.
And then that sex scene was a lot less explicit, but there was also a couple shots. The one thing in that sex scene was that you saw shots of Angel's back, and they do that again in this episode. And they go across his back and go to the tattoo, that was like the big thing on Buffy that they had sex. They just would show that shot of Angel's back.
His ginormous back. Yeah, I think that's...
And then it ends the same way with Angel waking up gasping.
That is definitely the connection I definitely got.
I think
was him waking up with the gasping, and particularly the music of the sound of the whatever.
Yeah, I think the reprise is surprise of surprise. I think that's what it refers to because I can't see anything. I think once we get into Epiphany, I think there's double meanings to that. But at this moment, I do think they're kind of playing on Surprise and Angel having sex with Buffy.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on to feedback now. Unless you have something else to say.
No, we can move on.
And there is a lot of it.
Huzzah!
Okay.
All right, so first up in feedback, we have Kanem. He said, "This week, as I settle in to watch Reprise, a mysterious elevator appeared, and Bernard from Lost stepped out and said he had 3 things he wanted to show me. Loving elevators since the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory sequel, I couldn't resist, and here's what he showed me. 1. A world where fear and heartbreak don't cloud perception and our ability to do what's right. Where Wesley does something far braver than facing any hideous monsters. 2. A place where I actually had sympathy for Kate, even though some of the worst drunk acting I've ever seen. The review board was harsh, but it was unique to see a character pay a realistic price for acting like a reckless idiot. 3. The power of elevators as metaphor. Who hasn't hooked up with someone we know is bad for us upon realizing that nothing matters and that we're all in hell? The true tragedy is that although what Angel realizes is true, what he doesn't realize is that it is also true that heaven too is all around us as well, and that we can always keep fighting for it. The world is a complicated place, and how we are focused to or choose to perceive it guides our choices." And with that, he left me back where I started, with my eyes more wide open, and although I know what happens, I'm excited to see what comes next. And he gave it a 79 out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Kanem.
So what did you think of Kate's drunk acting? The woman has forgotten how to cry. When she trashes that shelf, she makes an ugly face. It was supposed to be her crying face.
Yeah, she may have forgotten how to cry. The line, "You did it to me, you bastard," or there's like a weird pause, and she says, "You bastard,"
which I actually.
I don't mind. She's on sleeping pills.
Yeah.
She's drunk and on sleeping pills.
She can sound a little weird.
Right, exactly.
And I do like what she says to him, and in that moment, Angel can't hear it. That's also, it's his fault that, it is in a way his fault that she's gotten to this place. If he had never involved her in any of this, she would have been fine. She would probably still be mourning her dad because there's some weird daddy issues going on there. But I don't think she has gone this far down the rabbit hole of crazy.
Right.
If it wasn't for him.
It added to... So when Denver has that little speech about, even though you've gone down this path, you impacted my life in a good way, and then he dies. Like, it just is more
right,
of a shot of, like,
through the bleeding.
Yeah, go closer to the human. The fact that everyone he's interacting with is having a terrible ending is not really helping his hitting the bottom.
Everyone he's interacted with has not come out better from that interaction, at least in this episode. Even though Denver says that because of Vampire. Well, I do like that when he came in, it changed Denver's life that a vampire could help people. And then Angel points out that they all died. I don't care. Whatever. He let them die anyway. But even that, it's still, for 50 years, Denver became a more positive person because of Angel's influence. But then he does die, and that's all Angel can think about.
Yeah.
Like, there is hope in this episode if you see it. But it's not portrayed as that way because Angel's not in that emotional space.
Right, and we're looking at...
He just sees the bad.
Right, we're looking at through his lens, and that it works really well with the depression metaphor like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that that's all he can see, even though there is good stuff around him. Mm-hmm. Wesley standing up to Angel, I mean, we both really like that scene.
Mm-hmm. I like that scene a lot. I don't particularly like... Well, I do like Cordelia ranting after it, but I don't like the line about when she says, if it was anybody else, I would just tell him to get laid, because that seems pretty just, hey, remember if Angel has sex, he loses his soul, because something's going to happen at the end of the episode that might relate to that.
Okay, the thing is, I don't mind that line, it's the fact that she explains it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the other thing. She's too emotional to explain out in detail what happens when Angel loses his soul, because Wesley already knows that.
I mean, it's
but
important.
Also the other thing is, what does she think is going on with Angel? Because before that, I thought it was just that he's isolating himself and he's just being a jerk. But if he thinks he's really suffering, then I think. Well, she has a reason to be upset with him anyway, but just boff somebody suggests that she just thinks he's upset, which I don't know. I think she would care. I think she would care a bit more than she does. Although she did try to help them, and he turned away. I guess that's okay. Right. But I just thought before this that he just thought she was being lonely angel jerk, where he isolates himself. And he won't let them help him. Okay, whatever.
I don't know. I think she's still just bitter. She's still hurt, and she's Cordelia. She says whatever's on her mind.
She has no filter. Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about in Caden's comment, or...
No, we can move on.
Okay. So next up was Joseph, who said, wow, this episode is melodramatic, and even on my fifth watch, I'm still not sure if We Live in the Home Office twist is deep or dumb, but dang it all if this episode doesn't work for all that. Hoodie Angel is a scary guy, and he's apparently willing to leave Kate die and risk something Angelus when he's down. I'm starting to love the Wyndam-Pryce trope. In order to solve this problem, you will need a super rare magical artifact that I just happen to have over here. I think Giles did that 3 or 4 times. I think Kate's story could have been better written, but it's still pretty effective. Angel should be glad that Kate doesn't have a cell number, or he would have gotten drunk dials all night. I'm not sure the elevator twist makes any sense in hindsight. The senior partner needed the ring to travel from LA to LA. Are they saying that the senior partners are the evil that lives in human hearts, and that the ring allows them to take a human body? If so, are the powers that be some aspect of humanity as well? Speaking of the powers that be, they don't seem to be doing very much to interfere with Wolverine's Heart's plan for Angel. Are things proceeding according to their plans as well, or are they limited in some substantial way? Because it seems like at this point, if they have any levers to throw, they should be throwing them. As I said, it's melodramatic, but I love seeing everyone hit their low point, and the triple cliffhanger is cool. Come to think about, we didn't see Gunn at his low point. My headcanon is he left the office, suddenly remembered that he used to have a sister and is off someplace feeling bad. That's as good as an explanation as any, so thank you, Joseph. Okay. So, the fact that it's melodramatic Yeah, it is, but it can't help but be anything else. I don't see that as necessarily a negative thing. A guy walks into an elevator, is told that evil is incarnate and will always be around, and he's a vampire with a soul, and then he decides to kill himself the same as his vampire ex-girlfriend. That's going to be melodramatic. It doesn't mean it's not bad. I think melodramatic gets a bad rap, but I don't think it can't. And I understand why it's become negative, but I don't necessarily think it has to be, because I think Buffy and Angel both, just by the kind of shows they are, they're going to be melodramatic at times. It's not going to be grounded in realism all the time, or even often.
Right, but what works so well about these shows is that even though there's so many goofy things going on, it doesn't feel like a soap opera.
No. But it is, in a way. But it doesn't feel...
It doesn't feel like that. The emotion is in the right place.
Yes. It's not... It's a soap opera in what... If you explain it, but not in the cheesy soap opera way that it's bad.
Right. The only point, of course, in this episode that reached too melodramatic was the sad piano, sad walking.
Well, the
montage.
Sad turtle montage.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't... For me, there is no real problem besides the sad montage when it comes to the last 10 minutes. Everything else... The problems I have in this episode is the rest of it's rather boring to me. I can't say enough good things about the moment Angel gets into the elevator to the end of the episode. But that's not the issue I have with it. So.
Okay. I've always felt like the evil and the good, like the powers that be and I guess the senior partners, I always kind of envision them kind of like the angel and devil on your shoulders kind of thing. Well, like they get to influence, but they don't get a real impact.
I would disagree with that because the senior partners seem to have more things going on. Well, we don't really have... I mean, we get scenes with Lionel and Lindsay, but we're not as connected to them as we are with Angel Investigations and Angel. And they're the agents of the powers that be. Sure. And it doesn't seem that they have... It seems that the senior partners communicate to Wolfram and Hart somewhere in that ranks more than the powers that be communicate to Cordelia. They seem... Evil in this world seems to have a more active role than the good.
Yeah, and the other thing is, though, that since Angel isn't in contact with Cordelia, like he's not in contact with the powers that be, he has shut himself off from everything. Mm-hmm. So he shut himself off from the good. Yeah, the powers that be are a little more vague than, I guess, senior partners that are actually willing to manifest themselves in this world, but I don't know.
The powers that be seem to respect free will in a way, or less. They're more esoteric, I think. Than they let Angel, because they tried to warn him several times in Reunion, try to get him to stop doing what he was doing, and he wouldn't listen. But then they didn't take an active role, like they didn't sit down and talk to him. They just sent him these warnings, and he chose not to listen. So I think the powers that be, I don't know if they're, I think they will listen, they will influence people, but they won't step in where the senior partners will. I don't know. That's just... I mean, I guess that's just guessing because we don't really know enough about either one of them.
And the powers that be, like, this is the most we've seen from Wolfram and Hart. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that a senior partner was coming to Earth was kind of a big deal, and it's part of why I was kind of in on this episode story. We haven't seen the powers that be do something as direct with our gang or anything.
No, besides the oracles, which are super dead.
Super dead.
Is there anything else we want to talk about in Joseph's comment? Or
does the "we live in the home office"? Does the twist feel dumb?
Well, like I said, it's not a particularly shocking twist. It's pretty basic philosophy. Or it's one school of philosophy that man is inherently evil. It's not like they blow the lid off something in this episode that was never discovered by people before. But just the way that it is presented and the way that Angel has been in this emotional state makes it work. Like and the way it's written as well, like just typing it out in summary that Han tells him that evil exists in everyone, but the way that it comes off in the episode makes it seem much more deeper than it is, so I think it works. But I understand. Yeah. I understand the question of is it deep or is it dumb?
Right. The fact that they were able to make it feel like a gut punch,
and to make it seem like it's a shocking thing,
means they did something right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the power of it is Angel's reaction to it more than what Han actually says if you think about it.
Right.
But I think in the episode it works well because of what they do, where it's the writing or it's Han's performance or whatever.
Right. Okay. So next up we have Alicia, and she says, Stephanie is back, and I like her even though she didn't say anything and had a creepy, hairy eye in the back of her head. Favorite scenes: Holland and Angel's elevator talk. In the larger sense, I don't give a crap. Angel shirtless last scene of him sleeping and gasping awake and looking up. Darla, I've missed her. The first scene, I first thought it was creepy, then weird with all the goats, then Angel's back to normal. No, wait, he's still kind of crazy. I like that they are at least sticking to the injured Wesley story by putting him in a wheelchair after he was shot last week. Kate is still going on about Darla and Drusilla wine cellar massacre. Darla has been staying with Lindsay. He must be so happy. During Lauren's scenes, I was distracted by the silver collar on his black sparkly top. The guy from Are You Now or Have You Ever Been is back. During Wesley and Cordelia's conversation, I was thinking about the relationship from Buffy and now on Angel. On Buffy, Cordelia was a teenager and Wesley was the hot, older British guy. On Angel, it seems that they are the same age when Wesley has got to be 10 or 15 years older than her. Questions. So where is Drusilla? Is Virginia living with Wesley? Did Holland get a haircut? So thank you, Alicia.
I don't think that Wesley is 10 to 15 years older. That seems ridiculous. Because, no. I think he's in his late 20s, maybe. Or mid-20s.
Well, how old was he supposed to be on Buffy?
I think he was supposed to be in his mid. He's not supposed to be that much older than them.
Yeah, it's because it has to be not gross enough.
Yeah. Cordelia, I think he would probably be like college age.
Yeah. I feel like he's like 3 to 4 years older than her.
Yeah. Because they didn't want to... Even... So, Cordelia is what? Supposed to be like 19? Really? Come on, whatever. But
yeah.
They're pretending she's whatever Charisma Carpenter's actual age is and not what Cordelia's age is. Because I think Cordelia's been in a bar several times, and that's illegal. She's not 21 yet. She's either like 19 or maybe 20. But, yeah. They're playing her up older, but I don't think that Wesley is significantly older than her. And I think Gunn's probably her age as well. I think they're all around the same age.
Yeah, they're all supposed to be 20-somethings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so is Angel. I mean, Angel's supposed to look 18.
Forever.
But he's aging. He looks way younger in Buffy Season 1 than he does now.
Yes, that's true. It's all the depression. It ages you.
Yeah. Except when you're dead, it shouldn't be able to age. What do you think? We didn't talk about this, but Drusilla, she out of there. Apparently.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would have liked to have seen her go, but I can also buy, in the weird Drusilla way, that she got burnt and decided, I'm out of here, or she had some vision about what's to come and decided she wasn't coming back.
Right.
It would have been nice to give her a send-off besides when she was burnt to a crisp on that sidewalk.
It's weird, though. I mean, for me, Drusilla feels so tied in with Buffy, like that show. So
I could see that, but I also think she worked better on here than she ever did on Buffy.
I mean, maybe because they gave her more time and more stuff to do, but I don't know. Just something about her character in particular. I guess because she's so tied in with Spike that it doesn't bother me that she's gone.
It doesn't really bother me either, but
it would have been nice to see her again, or at least get some explanation of what she was doing.
Besides Darla just sensing that she's not coming back.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to talk about that? I do. That Kate has figured out that he killed the people in the cellar. I do like that. Alicia seems to be a bit annoyed that she's still on about it when it's her job.
Right. It was like the bit of detective work that she was actually doing good with, as opposed to being reckless or whatever.
I mean, she does manage to get things done, but she's also doing them in a completely unsafe way. Where this seems to be actual detective work that's not getting anyone hurt. Also, here's the other thing that she should have been fired. Let's just take out the fact that she sent Angel to beat up that police captain. Remember when Angel was arrested and she just let him go because she felt like it? And there was a driver? Why was that not any consequences?
I'm guessing that was part of the review.
Well, I'm guessing it came up, but that should be the thing that causes her to... You let a suspect go because he doesn't look guilty to you. Whatever.
Well, I'm sure she could... if they brought it up, she could be like, well, he's a private eye. I've worked with him before, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, whatever. I mean, I'm just saying that she should have been fired months ago, so it's a good thing that she was for the sake of logic.
See, now all I can think about, though, in Alicia's comment is, did Holland get a haircut?
I don't know, did he? I don't know. Maybe that's why I wasn't sure.
I'm racking my brain. Exactly. It's a faux Holland because he got a haircut. But he's not supposed to be... He's supposed to be dead, but not a ghost.
Yes.
So he's like a zombie?
I don't know.
Whatever. We just had zombies.
It could be, or he's just... whatever, I don't want to think about it. If he's dead, his hair wouldn't grow, though. So there's no reason to get a haircut.
Maybe he's just undead.
Yeah, I think.
Well, hey, Angel probably gets haircuts, right?
No, that's why his hair is always the same.
But his hair's not always the same.
Yes, it is. It's always spikely. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know. All right. So next up, we are traveling back to the Thin Dead Line, and we have a voicemail from Joseph.
Hi, this is Joseph commenting on the Thin Dead Line. I had expected not to like this episode, and starting from a place of low expectations, I really liked it a lot. I thought it was a good Case of the Week episode. I think I enjoy those a lot more than most people, but I also thought it had some good character development for everybody. I liked watching the zombie tropes in action. I didn't even mind that the police normally use guns, but when surrounding a house filled with a group of disparate stereotyped characters, what they like to do is stick their arms through the window and groan. I liked Kate a lot, and it turns out that all it takes for me to like Kate is for her not to be terrible. She didn't do anything particularly great this episode. The story wasn't about her, but she just wasn't terrible, so I liked her. I also really like the new Angel. I don't know if he's Hoodie Angel or Gray Angel or what, but when he confronted the police captain, I really wasn't sure what he was going to do. And that kind of scary, unhinged Angel is a cool, interesting character, and I really dug watching him work. He's also really good at lurking and looking through windows. I wanted him to tell Cordelia, look, it's a free country, I can lurk wherever I want. But instead he skulked away, which was fine. I liked the trio. It was funny to watch Wes discover that white privilege doesn't actually make you bulletproof. It was very effective to watch everyone try to save Wes and to watch the relationship between Wes and Gunn develop. And I thought Gunn and Cordelia both did great too. A couple last things. I agree with, I think, Derek last week. It really is a waste that they didn't make Cordelia the leader of the gang while they're away from Angel. Because Wes and Gunn have a lot to do. Wes is the book-smart guy. Gunn is the very smart but more street-smart guy who sees through a lot of the problems, and then they're both effective fighters for humans. So they get a lot of time solving problems and fighting. Whereas Cordelia, Gunn's street smarts are taking away some of her role in solving a problem. So making Cordelia the leader, or letting her jump in the fights, or letting her do something, I think would be more effective. She's still good as kind of the heart of the group, but giving her some more action to do, I think would have worked really well. The social commentary was also, well, I appreciate that they did it. The show tried to show the frustration of, if the police are rough, that's bad, and if the police are absent, that's bad. Presumably the solution is something like community policing and involvement, not just being sad. But it was kind of striking that this was 10 years after the Do the Right Thing and 10 years before Ferguson, and it's fairly sad that any one of those stories, you can move them 10 years forward or back and not much has changed. But I'll see you in 10 years and maybe things will have gotten a little better. And on that, I'll talk to you guys next week.
So, thank you, Joseph.
So white privilege doesn't stop. It's not a bulletproof vest. That's all I took away from that. Not all I took away from it, but that amused me.
That was the best line.
I actually felt the same way, because before we did the Thin Deadline, you were expecting to hate it, and it would be terrible, I think, for your words off podcast. And then I went into it expecting it to be terrible, and then it was just okay, so I think it might have colored my opinions that I liked it more than it probably deserved.
I still didn't like it, but...
You liked it.
I mean, I liked it, but I still had a lot of problems with
it. That's true.
Like, all of the actual plot elements of the episode bothered me, but all of the side character stuff worked really well. And the fact that they are the fact that they do try for social commentary,
and it's not nearly as bad as other times they've tried for social commentary.
Exactly. Right.
I don't want to talk about Cordelia being a leader yet, because that's going to come up in our next podcast, in the 2 podcasts extravaganza we're doing. But I do like his comments there about Cordelia. Honestly, any story could be improved, in my opinion, if Cordelia was involved more in it.
Right. She definitely has felt like they've put her on the back burner. Like, so anytime we get little bits, like, I really did love the phone call conversation between Wesley and Cordelia, because it was little character interactions that we got with Cordelia. You know what I mean?
But I still feel like Wesley's the focus of that scene and not necessarily her.
Right.
He's just kind of reacting off of her.
Yes, but you do get insight into their relationship.
That's true, but I still think Wesley...
Also, there's just something really sweet about her saying, "You don't count," and the way she says it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But
I do like that. I mean, I like seeing them interact, but I still think it's Wesley's scene. And she still hasn't done much yet.
Sure.
Okay.
Anything else in Joseph's voicemail?
No.
I mean, he talked about Unhinged Angel, and it's something that they've done really well this season.
Who knows what's going to happen with that now?
Right.
And we'll find out in about a couple of minutes when we do the next podcast. All right. So next up is Alicia, who said, favorite scene, Angel kicking the police officer's head off when Angel ran paced after the cop shot him and Angel held him up by his throat. The eye is creepy. When I heard they were going to be zombie police officers, I didn't expect them to look so human. I expected them more like they did when Angel kicked the police officer's head off. The cop that shot Wesley, I was shocked, but I knew he wasn't going to die. Jackson, the guy with the gun, is a dick. This episode was not what I was expecting. I thought Stephanie was going to be in it more, and one of the homeless kids So overall, I was kind of disappointed, and they didn't even finish that story. So thank you, Lacey. I did cut out that apparently Stephanie is now in the originals on CW.
Oh, okay.
Which...
She finally gets to speak?
I hope so. Or maybe she's just a mute vampire. Which I did watch the Vampire Diaries. I did not... About, I don't know, like 3 seasons, and then I just became Elena. I can't, Stefan. That was my Elena impression.
It was very good. I applaud you.
And Dave and stabbing people's necks. I think that's what that show is it not? That's what the Vampire Diaries is.
I watched the first couple of seasons. Basically, once they did the Stefan becoming Angelus thing.
Oh yeah, Stefan is
wrote
just
it off.
The poor man's angel, and I was over
exactly
episode 1. But the fact that they didn't kill everyone off and it just wasn't called the Caroline Show, that's where it lost.
Okay. So the fact that she was shocked that Wesley got shot, but didn't think he was going to die. I mean, I don't think they were ever going to kill a character off in this way.
I think killed Doyle off in that way.
Yeah, they did, but I don't think they would kill Wesley off in a case of the week.
They killed Doyle off in that way.
Right, but there was something about this episode that it was shocking, but it didn't have a great sense of stakes. Like the fact that they were able to move him to the house and he didn't immediately bleed out and die.
Yeah,
like,
it's
obviously
just the fact, when he gets shot, the fact that they go on the LSD trip, there's that. And then there's also the fact that they move him around and he's not dead yet. It's not like he's going to die at the house.
Right.
It's gone on long enough that Wesley's okay. Like, if he was going to die, they would have shot him somewhere other than the stomach, I think, if they were going to kill him.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where he got hit. Actually, getting a gut shot is actually pretty deadly.
Okay, yes, but for television purposes, if you get shot,
sure.
Let's not talk about medically. When someone gets shot in the stomach, unless it's something where it's actually like a realistic kind of, like if it's a Breaking Bad thing, I could see someone getting shot in the stomach and they live. I mean, they die. But in this kind of situation, you're going to get shot in the heart or the head, and that's going to kill you. Often things with like shows like Angel, you're not going to see someone bleed out of a gunshot wound.
Right.
It has to be more dramatic than that. It has to be a bigger thing.
Right. I do think it was interesting, and something I did like about this week's episode was in that Virginia scene, her getting really freaked out by the fact that he got shot with a gun. Like,
she got shot. Was she in the Thin Deadline, or it was just in this episode where she couldn't deal with the gunshot wound?
It was in this episode.
Yeah.
I think she was at the beginning of the episode, I think.
Yeah,
because that's how they get to Stephanie's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, she's
parents.
not. She's not. They just come and they just come and say they're Virginia's friends.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about from that? Or?
No, we can move on.
Okay.
So next up we have Chris Hart's comment, and she says, okay, did we all watch the same thing? As I didn't like this episode. The starting scene was so sad. I felt pity for Angel. I felt the emotions, the anger of him pushing the papers off the desk, the sadness when he put his head down. Then for the next 40 minutes, nothing. It felt flat to me. Was it the direction? Was it the acting? A bit of both? I didn't find the zombie cop scary. I didn't feel the street kids' pain or feel that they were scared enough for their own safety. I didn't feel the eagerness of them trying to survive once the house was under attack. It was just, meh, this is happening. I did get the shock of Wes being shot, and I like the moment he and Gunn have in the hospital. However, I think it says a lot of this episode if Kate is the one to make me feel the most out of it when she is crying at her father's grave. I may have even liked her a bit in this. Lucky for me, it ended before I could follow through with that thought. So, thank you, Chris Hart.
Mm-hmm. I can understand why people don't like Thin Deadline, but I think I had such low expectations for it that it worked for me.
Right. I think, let's see, I had low expectations. I watched and didn't like it. Then through our conversation, I got dragged up a bit. I mean, there's still good moments in it, I think. But I mean, I was with Chris Hart about basically the zombie cops because it is just kind of goofy or whatever. But that's kind of the show. But there are just character moments that kind of drug the episode up a bit.
Sure. I don't really have anything more to say about the Thin Deadline. I don't.
Okay.
I'm running out. I just want to talk about a 50 now. But we got one more comment from Chris Hart, who is on You Now or Have You Ever Been? I have a major problem with this episode, and so far no one has mentioned it. Back in Buffy, in Becoming, there's a flashback with Whistler meeting Angel in a rat-filled sewers when he has been a derelict for 90 years. 90 years! He doesn't look like a derelict in this episode, and it took me right out of it. This is now the second time where they have destroyed the established history and mythology of Angel that we know from Buffy, and I have issues with. What else are they going to change to suit the Angel show? Am I wrong? Has been there other instances where I said otherwise that Angel didn't spend 90 years eating rats in the sewers? If you can show me how this broody yet well-presented, living within society, drinking bottled human blood Angel somehow makes his way underground, dirty derelict and eating rats comes to be, then perhaps I can let this slide. I'm not buying it. They went underground after all this happens. The actor in this episode is meant to be based on Rock Hudson, I think. Very similar in looks. It wouldn't surprise me if all the characters are based on someone. So thank you, Chris Hart. I think she's talking is the actor who we learn is gay, right? That's why he's hiding in this hotel.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Or is she talking about just one of the people?
No, there's
one of the chorus people.
The Greek chorus. One of them is an actor.
Okay.
And I think they have some line about him being a fruit or something. I don't know. In very 1950s speak, they call him homosexual. I think. I don't know. It's been a while. Does it bother you that Angel is not in a sewer eating rats?
Kind of.
It doesn't for me. So
I like this because having more interesting, like, if for 90 years that's all he did, then there isn't a history that we can mine from.
No.
And
I'm more, even though I didn't like Are You Now or Have You Ever Been, I'm more, so I don't remember in Becoming, does Whistler says you've been in this sewer for 90 years or somebody does?
Well, he's supposed to have been atoning for 90 years or whatever, or have been kind of this kind of mess. And we saw him previously when he first gets turned kind of be that homeless vagrant. So the fact that he has to get to that point again is weird. But I don't know. I feel like there's such a long period of time that, yeah, I can believe that he'll go to being homeless again at some point. Mm-hmm. So I don't mind him in this. And what I found interesting about Are You Now or Have You Ever Been was the fact that we were exploring this time period in Angel's life and how he was acting. Like, he wasn't this sympathetic, woe is me, brooding guy. He was kind of a dick.
I could easily see him going from this to in the sewers. Like, he's living in this apartment. I mean, he's living in the Hyperion because it's a criminal hotel, basically, for low lives. And that's where he's hiding out. So, going on I don't buy that for 90, and it's just not interesting for 90 years he was in a sewer, because what kind of story, I would rather them tell interesting stories than to stick to the 90 years that honestly I didn't remember until Chris Hart brought it up.
Right. And I would have to rewatch Becoming, but I think it is more interesting if there is a sense of history. If all we get is, like, if the only interesting history we have left of Angel is when he was Angelus, and then we just kind of skip to when the present, then, you know, you lose a lot. Mm-hmm. That's 90 years that you can tell interesting stories from. So
it might very well be. I'm sure it is actually a plot hole, but I'm not offended by it.
Right. I don't think I don't think this would be the first time that they've had plot holes like this.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. So favorite moment and scores.
All right.
You're not gonna like my score.
Well, probably not, and you're going to be like, whoa, for mine. But for my favorite moment, I went with the Holland telling Angel, or basically the end of the elevator scene, when we get when Holland is telling him that evil is in all humans, and if they wouldn't be people if they didn't have it in them. I thought that it was just the most effective scene. Holland really sells the scene, and then having Angel's reaction. Like, even though what they say isn't very different, it's not something that we haven't seen before, they just really, improved that scene. It was just a really great gut punch moment.
Okay, I went for the same thing, and we don't need to repeat it. It's the elevator scene. There's no... I mean, you could go for them doing the sex, but...
Yeah.
The elevator scene creates them doing the sex. The sex in that scene, so it's good. All right, so score.
Right.
So just, you go ahead, and then I'll say my score that are going to make people get mad at me.
Okay, I really like this. This has been one of my favorite episodes that we've gotten.
Oh, God.
I thought that they ramped up through the episode really well and had a great sense of direction. It was really dark and kind of going on this dark ride with Angel. I really liked it. I gave it an 80 out of 100.
Okay, that's all right. That's
yeah. It's not.
Okay.
Not, oh my God! I didn't give it a 90, but
okay. So actually,
it had sad piano walking.
I did a little bit of math here, and
it's also a part 1.
Okay. Let me finish. It's my turn now. So
no.
If I could just grade the elevator scene and on, I would give it an 80. But if I had to grade the 30 minutes before, I give it a 54. So I added them together, then I divided by 2, and I got a 67. And that's what I'm sticking with. Because as a whole, that's how I feel.
All right.
If I think the elevator scene is one of the best moments. Best sequences the show has done. The episode as a whole is not one of the best episodes in my opinion, so I feel comfortable with that score.
Right.
All right.
All right, and if you'd like to leave us some feedback, you can do so by commenting on the post at theangelrewatch.wordpress.com.
Or you can send an email to theangelrewatch@gmail.com.
Or you can call our voicemail number at 206-203-3276.
Or you can just tell me which is theangelrewatch.tumblr.com to see all the reviews archived there and the gifts of whatever episode we're watching.
We're available on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. While you're there, leave us a review. It really helps promote the show. You can follow me on Twitter at NerdGuyWilliam.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at Comfortador.
And next time, we'll be reviewing Epiphany, where Angel has an epiphany.
Well done. Okay. And cut and print.